My people, welcome back to Christy TV. The Deputy Chief Whip, Senator Onyekachi Nwebonyi, has reacted to the sexual harassment allegation levied against Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Senator Onyekachi Nwebonyi said Akpabio did not touch or harass Senator Natasa Akpoti-Uduaghan. The federal lawmaker said he was an eyewitness during Akpabio's birthday celebration, where Senator Natasa claimed the harassment happened. No be small thing, my correct people dem. We all know the gbenga news wey full for social media spaces now because say this allegation of sexual harassment that Natasha said where Akpabio, the Senate President of Nigeria, do am years back, e don dey turn to another thing. To our own shocking stuff, my correct people, then we hear say Senate talk say they no fit look it's a put eye for this kind matter. Reason be talk say this matter no come legally, say it was not presented to the Senate House. Say Natasha run go television, go dey talk am she dey broadcast am like news. Since she don broadcast am like news, make she take herself sort am out from that broadcasting news. My correct people never see the hot now things everywhere don scatter. This Nwebonyi, he said that they do not support women voices in the Senate, that all the female senators are committee chairpersons. Since say she go television, another person could have gone to Wuse Market to make an allegation, and you're asking the institution to investigate it? The Senate has ruled out investigating allegations against Senate President Godswill Akpabio by Senator Natasa Akpoti due to the absence of a formal petition. Akpoti alleged that Akpabio made inappropriate advances towards her at his residence in Akwa Ibom as well as in his office. Senate President Bukola Saraki suggestion to investigate it was dismissed as the Senate insists on a formal complaint before they will act. Anyway, my people, I allow you people to watch so many people's reaction towards this particular news of sexual harassment, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have not done so, please kindly do well to subscribe. Turn on notification button so that you will always get notified whenever I post our latest content. Don't skip any part of this video so that you will get the full details of this video.
Quite different, apples and oranges. But the question is this, as they say, if there are allegations of this grave nature, don't you think that investigations should be opened and the ethics committee of the National Assembly, or to be very precise, the Nigerian Senate, should look into this matter, and rather than just probably tossing it aside and saying that these are apples and oranges, comparing the issue of Bukola Saraki as it then was when he was Senate President and the present Senate President, Godswill Akpabio.
Well, thank you so much for having me again. You remember last week I was here to clear the course as to what happened at the plenary between Senator Natasha and the Senate, not the Senate President. Because what transpired was a complete violation of our rules by Senator Natasha, and the Senate Chief Whip called her attention to that, and the Senate President, who is the chief law officer of the Senate, how to enforce the rules of the Senate. So it's very important to keep the record straight. This matter started between Senator Natasha and the Nigerian Senate.
But it has blown beyond that already.
I'm coming. Now, a few days back, we had another version of this story where the same person abandoned the fact in issue to talk about another thing. However, before I go in there, let me react to the submission of the former Senate President. I would do respect to his office. He knows very well that the facts of the two cases are not the same. His case was a case of importation of official vehicle. This is a case of violation of the Senate rules, and a committee on ethics and privileges have been set up in line with our rules to look into it. So there is no point relating the two because they are not the same, both in facts and figures. So that is that. Now, on the issue of sexual harassment as alleged by Senator Natasha, as God will have it, I am an eyewitness. And like I posted in the social media, I narrated what transpired. On that fateful day of 8 December 2023, I was among the senators that attended the birthday ceremony of the Senate President. Right from the Victor Atta Airport, I drove in the same vehicle with the said senator, with her husband. In fact, I was in the front seat while the senator and her husband was at the back seat. We attended series of programs of the Senate President within Uyo town. At the end of the day, we moved to Ekotekbene, the hometown of the Senate President. I remember very well, as we were coming down from the vehicle, she was complaining of her shoe paining her that made her and her husband to stay back while I rushed inside the building to join other senators to inspect the building of the Senate President. I must tell you for free, and that is the truth, Senator Natasa never joined us inspecting the buildings of the Senate President. She was seated at the parlor with her husband. The Senate President took us around, took us to the chapel, and called those who are Catholic senators to join him in a Holy Mass. We celebrated the Holy Mass, and at the end of the day, ended up in her garden, and he hosted us. There was never a time the Senate President touched Senator Natasa. There was never a time the Senate President told Natasa, oh, you like my house, I will come back here to have a good time. That never happened. And Senator Natasa knows that very well. So it is disheartening and unbelievable for a senator of the Federal Republic to act of mere provocation simply because you were given a new seat and probably a committee was changed to get up to lay a false allegation against a man that is old enough to be your father. Up till now, I'm still in shock because it's unbelievable.
All right, Mr. Nweboye, you
And let me cap it up. From the house of the Senate President, I still drove in the same vehicle with Senator Natasa and the husband. I was still in the front seat to 4 Points Hotel, where we all lodged. The following morning, I was with the husband. We had a walk together within the hotel. He never told me of anything that the husband, that the wife was harassed. Of course, it never happened. For crying out loud, it never happened. The Senate President never had a handshake with Natasa in his house, let alone toasting her. And think of it. How do you think a sane man will toast a married woman in the presence of over 20 senators, in the presence of her husband? Come on. This is unbelievable and should be condemned.
All right, Mr. Nweboye, you've made it clear that you're an eyewitness.
I was there.
You've stated what you witnessed.
With over 20 senators. Senator Stangu was there. I can name them.
It's clear that the point is you said you're an eyewitness, and that's completely fine. And like Aaron mentioned, even though it was different context with Bukola Saraki, the fact that you witnessed this and you're saying that it didn't happen, then you should probably be at the forefront pushing for transparency to clear the name and the allegations, yes, as opposed to...
Of course, this allegation is not before the Senate. As far as I'm concerned, it's a hearsay. Senator Natasa never, since 2023, where the alleged harassment happened, she never reported this to the Senate.
But why are you against the call that's being made by Bukola Saraki, even if now you've confirmed that you witnessed it and there's nothing to hide?
Let me tell you something. We have rules in Senate. It's only when you present an issue at the plenary that Senate can set up a committee, not on a hearsay. Bukola Saraki, that's a personal opinion. He was a Senate President. He knows the rules of the Senate. He knows who can't act on hearsay. It is a hearsay. Senator Natasa never presented any issue before us.
Okay, based on your eyewitness experience and your experience, or the place that you hold as the chief whip, yes, how would you advise that we see this matter through?
Let her read the rules.
Go ahead. Let's know how this should be handled.
I can't say she knows what to do. Let her read the rules.
No, enlighten
I'm
us.
not her lawyer.
But if we were to draw a parallel between what happened with Senator Bukola Saraki,
yes,
then when he was Senate President,
yes,
I do not think the issue about what they call it, the import duties concerning the vehicles, yes, the SUV vehicles,
yes,
that was a bone of contention.
Yes.
Was presented before.
It was presented before, and it was assigned to a committee. It was presented by a senator. It came by word of motion.
Okay, if you have said that.
No, let me. You have to know our rules. Okay. It came by word of motion. But if you want the Senate to act on any issue, probably your privilege has been infringed, or you have a report to make, you come by word of motion. All the senators will hear it. It will be put to vote. If you find merit in your complaint, that is only when it will be referred to the Ethics and Privileges Committee.
But Senator Nweboye, now where I'm going to with this is,
Yes.
Already the Senate,
Yes.
some are brandishing the Senate as very misogynistic.
It's not so.
So if that's not the case,
Yes.
when allegations
Yes.
of sexual misconduct
Yes.
is being raised,
Yes.
shouldn't it be taken with seriousness rather than shoving it aside? Because she has said her side of the story. You were not there with them from the night into the morning.
I was there all through, and I left with her.
She could have returned back.
She couldn't return back. Listen to her facts. She didn't return back. The
But
Senate president was there with his wife.
So she believes, I'm not saying whether it's true or not,
Yes.
she believes that she has been wronged. And she was put in a very uncomfortable situation.
Yes.
Whether it's true or not,
Yes.
why don't we leave that for the ethics committee to decide as
That is
against
only
shooting
if,
it down?
That is only if and only if the matter is presented before us. Get it right.
So that's why I said the thing
The
about
first
misogyny.
allegation, remember how she started. She came on air that the Senate president is suppressing the voice of female senators.
Yes.
I'm coming. That was her first allegation.
Yes.
And we said no. I came here and said no. We are not suppressing the voice of the female senators. All the 4 female senators in the 10 senates are all committee chairmen, not minding that they are first-timers. And by the practice, as a first-timer, you ought to have understudied the proceedings of how a committee meetings used to be before you can chair it. Because a committee chairman is like a Senate president. You preside over the committee. You oversight ministers and MDAs. So you need to have an experience. But because of the love the Senate president and the 10th Senate has for women, these 4 women are all committee chairmen. I can name them. Herself, Senator Kingibe, Senator Diat, and the former deputy governor of Rivers. They are all committee chairmen. How do you think you believe her that the Senate president is suppressing the female voices in the Senate?
Is it too wild to be imagined, or what are you saying that it can never happen?
It didn't happen.
Okay. Are you saying it can never happen?
But it can happen, but it didn't happen.
Okay, that's still
It never
that's
happened.
still based on what you said you witnessed, and that's completely fine. But now, do you think
Now there's a platform. She was talking, and I posted this eyewitness account. Senator Natasa did not controvert any of my statement herein.
She doesn't have to.
She has to.
No,
doesn't
not
have to.
necessarily.
Let her come up and say that I was not there, or that I didn't drive in the same car with her.
Okay.
Let her come out and say it.
Do you believe?
She can't say it.
Do you believe
Yeah.
that the Senate Ethics Committee lacks the impartiality needed to fairly investigate allegations against its own president? And if so, what does that say about the committee's overall credibility?
Every committee is independent. If they summon the Senate president will appear. Senate is a very serious institution. A resolution of a committee, no man can thwart it. The Senate president cannot change it. That is the rule.
True.
The resolution of a committee, no human being can change it. It's only a court of law. No human being can change it. And if the committee deemed it fit to invite the Senate president, he must appear.
All right, Senator Nweboye. Now, from the look of things, it seems the Senate is just sweeping this aside, or majority of
We
the
are not
senators.
sweeping it aside. Remember, get my point clear. The issue is not before the Senate. And if she brings it before the Senate, it will be referred to the appropriate committee. And the Senate president will not preside
No,
over the matter.
but the language of the senators here,
No,
or the majority
I've not said
are already
so.
shooting her down before she even arrives.
Let
at
her do the
floor of
right
Senate.
thing. Let her do the right thing. The point we are trying to draw home here is that this is a complete falsehood. This is an attempt to discredit the Senate president. And this is not the first time. Just give me some time. This is not the first time this woman is doing this. This is a woman that have accused Yaya Bello of sexual harassment. This is the same woman that have accused the. I'm
coming.
Allow me to
corroborate
flow.
or probably disprove.
Allow me to flow.
Okay.
This is the same woman that accused Reno Mokri, the former media aide to Jonathan, of sexual harassment. This is a woman I saw in a video yesterday accusing a minister of sexual harassment. Are you the only woman in Nigeria, Senator Natasa? Right. What is wrong with you?
Ooh, your mic.
But Senator Weboye,
okay, 1 second.
This is madness.
Senator Weboye, just because
Nigerian women should rise against it. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
Senator Natasa is spoiling game for Nigerian women trying to enter politics because nobody will vote for a woman. No, I'm telling you, if women can behave this way, then that is danger.
Well, that's a generalization. That's a generalization.
And I have my points.
Senator Weboye, that's a generalization.
In this latent provocation, you accuse it. You want to sexually harass me. Who are you?
All right.
A mother of 6.
She's a woman.
A mother of 6 from different men. Without going to her character, this is a mother of 6 from different men.
All right,
I don't think that her character is not questionable.
All right, Mr.
Sexual
Weboye.
allegations don't have anything to do with the
business.
marital status
Or
the number of children she
has.
has.
I'm telling you, it's business.
Let me ask you the next question.
I'm going to her character. She has to change.
But this is misogyny here.
Yeah, I'm telling you the truth.
Can we ask you the next question?
Go ahead, I'm here for you.
Whew, okay.
We should condemn evil. That is the point.
All right.
I'm a Christian.
Are you ready for the next question?
Go ahead, my dear sister.
Okay. Now, how do you respond to critics who might view your defense of Akpabio as partisan loyalty rather than principled reasoning about proper investigative procedures?
Let me tell you something. I'm a principal officer of the 10th Senate. So I owe the Senate the duty to set the records right, not being loyal to one man. The Senate president is my president, yes, but outside that, I have that responsibility to tell Nigerians all I know as to what is transpiring in the Senate. And that is what I'm doing, so that the public will not be misled. Because in most cases, if you don't inform people as to the right facts and figures surrounding an issue, they will be de-informed. So what I'm doing? I'm not a boy to the Senate president. I'm elected like him. But if you want to rubbish him because you feel you can do that, people like I'm a human rights activist. I can rise up and say no, because you can't do it to me, and they can't do it to you. If anybody tries to do it to you, I will also speak the same. What is condemnable should be condemned by all. This woman should know her limits. She should stop dealing with prominent Nigerians. If they do it in her mother's country, we don't do it here.
Senator Weboye, you are using probably analogical deduction and probably trying to bring in reason to understand her actions.
Yes.
And that shouldn't be the case. It should rest on facts.
I'm speaking based on facts. I told you here.
Senator Weboye, because it is wrong for you to say that because she has children with multiple men, yes, that she doesn't have the locus and she doesn't have the moral standing.
I didn't say so.
To accuse, to feel
harassed.
So.
I didn't say so.
No, that's what you said here on TV.
Say so.
You did say so.
Listen, she is a habitual accuser. She is a habitual accuser of men.
Also,
of sexual harassment.
Also, that is still not enough reason,
yes,
for you to say, to dismiss a claim because, yes, she has accused 1, 2, yes, 3 people, yes, in time past. That's not enough reason to dismiss the claim. Yes. And that is why people are accusing, yes, the Nigerian Senate, the 10th.
You go by precedence.
In
reasoning, you go by precedence.
It doesn't work.
You go by precedent.
Law.
Yes.
In law,
you go
cases of sexual harassment come up,
well, let me tell you something.
They do not use judicial precedents, yes, or study decisions to, yes, decide whether or not she has the locus to sue.
We use it
because this is misogyny speaking here.
Because you are putting your character in question. If you are known for accusing people, today, I will say my sister is a thief.
No, but if you are
tomorrow, I will say you are a thief.
To prove sexual harassment, yes, character of the person.
It comes it's an issue.
It's not the first thing.
It's an issue. It is an issue.
At some point,
that
yes,
is the law.
But not the first thing in the
That is the law.
It's not the
first
thing.
Character comes in issue.
It is the evidence of what we have on ground.
She has no evidence.
All right, Mr. Weboye.
Not the character.
She has no evidence.
All right, Mr. Weboye.
You're not sure of that?
She has no. I'm sure of that.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm ready to come to court and testify. I'm an eyewitness.
You're an eyewitness.
She stated her case, where it happened, when it happened, and I was there.
Well, like you said, you're also not her lawyer, so you don't know all the facts that she has and what she
She
can
has
submit as
presented her
evidence.
facts.
All right.
She can't change the facts.
Okay, so
even though she changes like chameleon. The other day she was talking of suppressing female voices. The other day she was talking of putting another seat to her. Today is sexual harassment. Who knows what she will learn tomorrow?
Let's wait and see.
We are watching.
Okay.
But
so,
Nigeria is too big for her.
All right.
The testnet is too big for her.
Okay.
She can't toil us.
So let's expand.
She cannot.
If you have this kind of approach, how will she come freely to present her case?
What approach? Was she not here? Did I interrupt her?
All right, Mr. Wimboye,
let's speak on my own point of view. You can't stop me.
Mr. Wimboye, can we expand this beyond Senator Natasha?
Go ahead, my dear sister.
With the way you've addressed this today,
yes.
What message do you think your stance is sending to women in Nigeria who may face
let
me finish. Who may face similar workplace harassment issues?
There is no harassment
and are considering coming forward.
I take exception to that. No female politician in Nigeria have established
No, you didn't listen to my question. Or you
I
didn't
listened
hear
to your question very well. I listened to your question.
No, I said, what message do you think your stance sends to women in Nigeria who may face similar workplace harassment issues and are considering coming forward?
Who has faced workplace harassment issue? I'm asking you, who has faced one?
I'm talking about women.
Yeah, tell me one woman that has faced such harassment.
Well, since you post, you might want to put that on social
No,
media.
tell me one before I answer
poll.
you. If not, I won't answer you. Tell
That's
me one.
fine. You don't have to answer that.
Tell me one, because your question is business.
If I were to follow our question up.
Yes.
Before the Me Too movement, there was a stifling of voices for women in the entertainment space in the US. But as soon as one issue came up, we began to see multiple issues come up. People coming out to speak against the likes of Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein. These were power players who would have probably come out and be as bold and be brazen like you, saying that they have never harassed women. But when these women came up, they are answering for their crimes as we speak. So you cannot throw a blanket statement and say that no woman in the Nigerian Senate has ever been harassed. Can you boldly say that?
Give me one.
We don't know.
They leave it until it
But at the same time, you cannot say it has never happened before.
Give me one.
Just because it hasn't been brought to the fore doesn't mean it has never happened before.
Give me one.
Don't worry. Maybe who knows? This conversation might be the beginning point of something to happen.
Give me one.
At least we have Senator Natasha on record.
She has not proved it until she proves them.
At least we have one on record.
It's an allegation. Unfounded one at that.
Yes, we know it's an allegation.
Baseless one at that. Out of malice, afterthought. Can't you see it? Can't you see it?
Okay.
All right. Now, if the situations were reversed and opposition senators were shielding one of their own from investigation, what would your position be?
I said it here that if a case is mailed out against the Senate president, that he must appear before the committee. He's not above the committee. But as of today, none has been made against the Senate president.
But the way you sounding, do you think she will be feeling safe to come to
Why
the
not? The Senate is for everybody.
Yes.
She has been there.
Yes.
She'll be there tomorrow. I'm sure she's in the office now. What are you talking about? Who is against her?
Well, a lot of people have been very voiceable for us in the way they've
because they
attacked
are condemning her because of her actions. But that does not mean that she can't access the Senate. No. She has her freedom. She's a Nigerian.
Yes, she is
elected senator. But what we are saying is that her attitude is unbecoming of a senator of the Federal Republic. That is the point. Take it home.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to go home now. Thank you so much, Deputy Chief Whip Onyekachi Nweboyi, for your take on this very important issue.
I'm your friend, Dr. Charles Poki. I did a video in this cast some time ago, and I said I suffer from gynophobia. I naturally fear women. They're nice people, very wonderful people. But you must cultivate an attitude of relationship with them. I want to read from Sirach chapter 9, verse 9. Sirach chapter 9, verse 9. You can see Sirach in Roman Catholic Bibles and some ancient Bibles in some denominations. In Sirach chapter 9, verse 9, it says, do not, one, ever sit with a married woman. Do not ever sit with a married woman. And don't share meals or indulge in wine with her, since your soul might be attracted to her and you might slip into destruction because of your passion. Do not ever sit with a married woman, and do not share meals or indulge in wine with her, since your soul might be attracted to her and you might slip into destruction because of your passion. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 22, it says, abstain or flee from any resemblance of iniquity. And Bishop Sam Oyede would say, lead me not into temptation is easier than deliver us from evil. And Dr. Apoki will say in Urobo language, Kenomake is better than Agerio. That is, give a distance from potential problems is better than please come and help me. Somebody help me. Now, the first case of sexual harassment really documented is between Joseph and Potiphar's wife. When the woman desired Joseph and Joseph refused to succumb, she attempted to grab Joseph, and Joseph fled and left his coat behind. Let me tell you something. This is a neutral discussion that somebody has requested I should do. But there are key principles. Number one, there are rules of engagement between married men and women. We just saw one now. Do not sit close. Do not share a meal. Do not indulge in wine with her. So always give a gap between yourself and a woman. Because if she accuses you of anything, you are most likely going to be found guilty. I'll tell you a little story. My wife, I went to preach. Before I came back, my wife employed a personal assistant to her, a fair young lady, jeans trouser wearing lady. I was laughing. My wife would ask me, why are you laughing? I told her that the reason I am laughing is because either you trust me so much or my village people have contacted you to spoil my name. So, one day I was alone in the house and my wife had gone to work. I heard movement upstairs. Who is there? It's me, sir. What are you doing there? I'm cleaning the sitting room. Where is Madame? Madame has gone to work. She told you to clean the sitting room? Yes. I went inside. I locked the door leading to the sitting room. Then I locked the door leading to the bedroom and I stayed inside. I have learned very early that if a woman accuses you, you are guilty until proven otherwise. And so try as much as possible to keep a distance between yourself and an unmarried lady and a married lady keep a distance. There were some pictures I took a few years, about a year or two back, and recently, and some other videos. One of them, people started misinterpreting it when they saw the video I made, why I left my wife. They say, is it because of this girl? You left your wife. Wicked man. So, the truth of the matter is that people will always interpret things with what is in their mind. The next thing is that if you are a married man, make sure, even if you are not married, if you are relating with a female, let there be a chaperone. In the hospital in those days, if we were seeing patients, particularly female patients, ensure that a nurse is standing by. Because if you want to examine the upper portion of a woman, some of the women, their nipples will stand erect. If you are not careful, it might be misinterpreted. They just have their nipples stand erect. If you want to examine the breast of a woman, if the right breast is the one that has pain, you are supposed to start from the left breast so that you can know the normal consistency before you examine the right breast. And you must explain to her, cover the other part of her body that you are not examining. You must explain to her, madam, I want to examine the right breast first so that I will know the normal consistency before I examine the left one. Make sure there is somebody, a nurse, female nurse with you there. Because if you just go and start examining the left breast and she shouts, doctor, why are you coming to examine my left breast? That's not the one that has pain. You are in trouble. You must always explain. If your friend has a wife that has an official relationship with you, if you want to do anything that might affect her, call the husband. Explain to the husband, we want to do so in the school. We will change your wife's class to another class. Let it not be that I am victimizing her. It is the new policy in the school. Your friend will understand. If there is the need to execute some changes, ensure that other women are aware about these changes so that it does not become as if you are victimizing. I wanted to give a married woman money who was residing near my school to add to her business. I had not had a very good relationship with the husband. When I mean very good, we were not pally-pallies. But I saw they were going through distress. So I told my elderly security man that I wanted to give some money to this woman to start her business. And I told my wife, if you told your wife before doing that thing, it will be better understood. I told my wife, then I gave the money to my daughter to give to the woman. That will save you crisis. If not, why are you giving money to my wife? Have I become so poor that you are the one giving money to my wife? Don't hold meetings alone with women. Married women, single women, let there always be a witness, particularly a female, and more than one witness. Don't hold meetings with women in hotels. Don't hold meeting with women in hotels. Okay, my travel agent brought documents to me in my hotel. We went to the reception. We looked at my travel documents. As I was seeing her off, I made sure that my PA was with me when we saw her off. One Uber taxi came to carry her. Surprisingly, I didn't know that the Uber taxi driver knows me. This is far away Lagos. My PA was there and with me before she entered the taxi. If I carry women who are not married to, they are not my wife, not my family members, they usually sit at the back seat. At the back seat. I don't give lifts to women. Because if you give lift to a woman and you drop her and she grabs you, pay me the money I used to service you last night. You cannot, you go explain, tire. You go explain, tire. So as a man, in a nutshell, try to avoid unnecessary proximity to women. If you work together with women, make sure you have a chaperone, you have witnesses. You as a woman, if you are going to see a man, make sure you go with a chaperone. Go with a chaperone. I have a female pastor who does that. She has somebody that always accompanies her. And that is very good. You are protecting yourself from people. Now, it is very difficult to defend a man who is accused of sexual harassment. Who is accused? If Bathsheba, yes, had said that David sexually harassed her, no person will believe her. So don't defend any man. It took the prophet of God to come and convict David. Don't defend any man. That idiot in between our legs is not born again, has no sense of its own. When it is erect, your brain is soft. So, don't let your erection give you direction. I've always said that. Make sure you protect yourself from yourself. I told you the story of my nurse that was traveling with me. And then I was still young and she sat in the front seat. Contrary to, it is later I learned these rules. And the skirt shifted. And I looked. And I concentrated. My mind said, look again. And I looked. And evil thoughts started passing through my brain. Just branch a hotel with this girl. Nobody will know. Your wife is at Enugu. Nobody will know. God help me. I concentrated. I started speaking in tongues. God help me. I got to Enugu safely. Nothing happened. After many years at Binez Hotel, she came with her 3 children and knelt in front of me. He said, told the children, see the man who made me who I am. Assuming I had crossed or tested the microphone, I would have gotten into trouble. The second look is the most dangerous look. The third look is the final look. Try as much as possible not to look. If you look, remove your eyes. Plead the blood of Jesus over your life. The higher you go, the hotter you become. The higher you go, the easier you think for that women will fall prey to you. And really, they come towards you. Like as Drosophila melanogaster is attracted to fruits. They will come. They will come. But if you have common sense, flee. The Bible says flee. Boso. Sare lo. Sare. Run and leave your shoes, if possible. Tiger Woods said that he thought he could get away at a certain stage, that he was invincible or there's nothing that people will say. According to Sirach, he said, lest he pulls you down to your destruction. So be very, very careful with women. That is all I have to say. I don't know whatever transpired. I don't know whatever they said. But when you are communicating with a woman, in all my social media communications, I will never say my dear to a woman. It's ma'am. M-A-A-M. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, my sister. I never say my dear or I love you. Never, ever. Because your heart might be clean, but it might be misinterpreted. It will become your word against their own. Flee fornication. Flee adultery. Flee anything that resembles adultery. And as the book of Sirach chapter 9 verse 9 says, do not ever sit with a married woman. Avoid married women. If they sit, let them sit a distance from you. Always have a chaperone. Don't sit with her inside a room where people are not seeing you. This is what I have to say. I remain Dr. Charles Apoki. I have a webinar coming up on the 15th and on the 16th of 14th and 15th, Friday and Saturday of March. Send a message to +234 80 21 21 92 62. I hope I'm right with the dates. The admin will send you the flyer and it will register you. Also send a message to that same number +234 80 21 21 92 62 to register you for the webinar. Remember, lead me not into temptation is cheaper than deliver us from evil. God bless you.